J Rich 444, man. I was on 68 days of semen retention. Now I'm currently under 22 days of semen retention. And I want to give a little bit of insight about my relapse, and not only about how it made me feel about myself, but also the experience of, because some people may think it's due to me being jacked. Like, I'm a very jacked type of guy. Like, I'm in shape. Like, getting jacked, I would agree, get you a substantial good response from women. Like, you get women attraction, you get more respect when you're jacked. People respect you, guys respect you. Some people fear you, other that may not be your intention. People do fear you. So I really want to share my experience, and also me being black. Like, black has a lot to do with, the way people view you. Like, black people are always viewed as aggressive, more dominant. We're always respected in that sense. But when it comes to like education and stuff, like, there's always downsides to things. So people don't really respect black people as far as consciousness and being conscious. So that's a good thing about denying the stereotype. But I would definitely start on, is semen retention true, right? Does semen retention work? Okay, so here's what I would give on my perfect analysis on semen retention. So when you're on the internet, you are whatever your algorithm is. So, right? So if you think something, that comes to be your reality. So understand that it's just I believe it's bigger than semen retention, because I think it's about whether you can see yourself in a better light, and you could be living in a way that is respectful to yourself. So other people think that there's such thing as a heaven or hell. I think however you feel about yourself and however you interpreted the way that you live determines whether you have a good state, like you live a peaceful state of unconsciousness, right? When you tap out of this world, how you view yourself determines your level of consciousness. So say if you feel like you snake people, internally you wasn't a good person, but you justified and you lived and you coped with the fact that you was misleading children, or you were misleading people, and you lied and you manipulated. If you know consciously that you were doing these things, subconsciously you were doing these things, that will become your truth, because you are the shadow which you deny, right? Which you do in closed doors represents who you are on the surface. So although you may see the other acts that you may be doing that other people see, it's just how you view yourself. So you could be an outstanding person to the public, right? You could have a good resume as far as job applications and this, that, and the third, but you could still internally, when you get home, not respect yourself, right? So how you decide you die and how you feel when you die has everything to do with how you feel about yourself, right? So what I would tell you is, I think it's a lot deeper than semen retention on that sense, but I'm just going to give you the general sense on where whatever you think about is your reality, right? So if you're sleeping with women and you're masturbating, or you're this, that, and the third, understand that you're going to start to think more about these things. You're creating more headspace for you to focus on women, right? And I would say is you are what you focus on. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to get successful and you want to see yourself better than just attracting women and better than being a ladies' man, like before, when I was fapping and I was sleeping with a lot of women, I always saw myself as a ladies' man, right? So now what this really looked like was, yeah, I had women, but was I respected by women? Was I respected within myself that I wasn't being a moocher, right? So that's the thing about having a lot of women is, yeah, you may be thinking of women and you possibly could be attracting women, but your headspace is filled with women. You're thinking about smooth things to say with women. So you can never come into the reality of you having your own things, right? This is my reality, but it may be for a lot of other people. But what I'm saying is, when you think about women constantly, that becomes your reality, and that's what you focus on. So you have no other time and energy to focus on these other things, right? So if you wanted to get your own bag, you want to get your own money, you wanted to get your own job, you don't have the energy or you don't have the mind space to focus, because you're only allowed a finite amount of mental space to think about and manifest certain things, right? So yeah, you may be thinking of women, yeah, you may be relapsing, and you're not, like, you're staying in that energy. When you're doing something you don't respect, you're staying in that energy. Just understand that. Like, that may be a side part to this conversation, but you're staying within that energy and that frequency. So the more you experience a vibe, the more that frequency becomes your identity. So, like, yeah, you could have a lot of respect for yourself for getting women. I had a lot of respect for I had more respect for myself from sleeping with a lot of women as opposed to masturbating. So I stopped masturbating and I moved on to sleeping with a lot of women. But the more I did that, the more that I realized, like, is this really the end all be all of my life? Like, yeah, I already know I can sleep with a bunch of women. I already know that I am seen as having good D, as these other women would say. Like, I mastered the game of sleeping with women. But, like, a woman can never really respect that. As far as you being a man, she may see you as a boyfriend, but she doesn't see you as a man. So there's two different things, where a woman can see you as a man and inspiration to be like, and a boyfriend is what a lot of these women have, is a guy who's just satisfying her needs. But on a long period of time, being a man is more conducive to a woman, is more conducive to having respect from women. So I chose respect. And when you choose respect, understand that you're going to come to the resolution of semen retention, because you're going to need the mind space to manifest other things in your life that's going to be beyond women. And this is where the man is the embodiment of God, right? This is where you are built in God's image, because when you stop thinking about women, you can focus on your purpose. When you focus on your purpose, understand your purpose is going to be things that have nothing to do with impulses, right? It's going to be strictly off of duty and strictly off of obedience, right? Discipline, right? The more you get focused on discipline, you're going to start to see that your sexual impulses are a problem. So although you may think that semen retention is not conducive to you being successful, a lot of that is cope because you don't want to give it up. But you don't, the second that I relapse, this is why I think that, you know, when you relapse, you can't be focused on what you need to do, because it's like any drug, right? Once you get a hit, that becomes your mind space. That becomes what you internalize and what you view and what you focus on. So it's bigger than just me relapsing and wanting to go on a binge. It's just the simple fact that now that it felt good, this starts to become my main focus, because this feels good to me. I want to do it again, right? So I'm looking for opportunities to sleep with more women. So when you do semen retention, you don't feel that hit of dopamine. You have that mind space to cultivate and manifest more success in your life. So I don't want people to get things confused, where they think that people are just going on a thing and they're deluded about semen retention. And it has nothing, it has a lot to do with semen retention. Obviously, there's propaganda to make you release your seed. There's other stigmas about you being stronger on semen retention, being more smarter. I just think that when you stop focusing on sex, right? There's a reason why a lot of the black population is behind, because we are we are taught from young to be hyper focused on sex. The second that you stop focusing on sex, you have mind space to think about other things. So the Chinese, they practice semen retention. Like, a lot of them practice the Kundalini, right? They practice doing with the right women, and they're not hyper focused on sex. There's a saying that says that sex is a broke people sport, right? A lot of the rich people aren't so hyper focused on sex. When can I get the next hit of sex? It's a big mind block. Say you have 64 gigabytes. Sex takes up about 54 gigabytes. The rest is, you can barely squeeze enough to go to the gym. You're depleting yourself because you have no mind space to focus on other things. So it has more to do than just being on semen retention, just to act better than anybody, just to do things that other people, and just to be deluded and feel like I'm better. And if it makes me feel better, it's true. I don't give a shit what the hell people say and what scientific analysis that they bring up and which studies they bring up. If I get bit by mosquitoes and I say, all right, well, getting bitten by mosquitoes makes me jacked, and I get bit by mosquitoes and it gets me jacked, I believe it's true. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I don't really care how the studies and what surface. If it's working for my internal state and my confidence, I don't give a fuck what is true or false. I'm getting results. So a lot of people live their life and they cope. This is a different than coping, because you have the physical manifestation. You have the physical, tangible benefit that, okay, this works. If, like, a lot of people are deluded when they say, okay, well, I'm a badass bitch and I could get any nigga that I want. But the man that wants you, you don't, and the man that you want, you don't have tangible proof. You don't have the man that you want that wants you. So by default, you're not a badass bitch who can get any nigga she wants. Like, it's just, you don't have the tangible benefit. This is the difference between delusional and having the tangible benefit. So I don't want to get people to get on here and start to think that I'm saying to be delusional. I'm not saying to be delusional. You need to have the tangible benefit. And if I have the manifestation, I have money in my bank account. I just recently manifested my own apartment for the first time after fucking 3 years of sleeping in a goddamn car, bro. Like, bro, I have physical, tangible proof that semen retention works. So I don't need anybody to justify or say any motherfucking studies or talk about prostate cancer. It is true. It is true. If anybody asks me about the benefit, it is true, because it's done things for my life. If you had a therapist or if you had a mechanic and you went to the mechanic and he said the car is fixed, but it's not fixed, that's not the tangible benefit. But if he said the car is fixed and the car was fixed and it was moving in a way like it wasn't before you bought it to him, the mechanic is a good mechanic, right? Same thing with the therapist. If you started to progress in your life after going to therapy, therapy works, right? If it didn't work, then obviously therapy is shit. So what I'm telling you is, stop being so focused on what is true and start focusing on what works in your life, right? So I don't care about the naysayers about semen retention. And I believe, and I 100%, like, there's even deeper thoughts than just it working, and which I proved already, that the thought of semen retention, the thought of having women, multiple women, the thought of masturbation cleans up a lot of your mental space. There's a reason why, once I said, Black people are in the situations that they're in. I understand I'm Black, so I can speak from it and I can know what I felt with being Black. Like, when I was taught from a younger age, the males used to look back at women's asses, right? This was the thing. Like, when I was like 6 years old, I was indoctrinated when I see a woman that to look back at her ass. The more I look, the more I look at these indoctrinations and question how these things move on a longer scale of time, the more I can give an opinion about it, because I'm analyzing it, right? I'm not just going off of what people tell me or show me. I'm questioning my programming. So I would wholeheartedly say, yeah, that was a terrible program to teach a kid. You should be focusing on being better as a man. Those are qualities and characteristics that you should be doing. So although a lot of people think that, okay, well, this is the way I was brought up, like I shouldn't like question it at all. No, you should question everything. Even your parents, you should question everything they think. Not saying that you're just like being an asshole and you're just intending to argue, but you should have your own opinion about things. So due to the black community being brought up from a very young age, rap and music videos on the hyper focus and the hypersexualization of women, I could honestly give an open-ended perspective about why black people are. A lot of them are the way they are because it's the hyper focus on sex. It gives it's like too much for your mind space. Like you can't focus on other things. And the second you do semen retention, I guarantee you, bro, you will have a lot more time to think about and manifest more success in your life. It's deeper than semen retention. Get that out of your head. We're not trying to be better than anybody. I'm telling you this to help you. And if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Like I said, what works for you is true. If smoking weed gives you the result, if smoking weed gets you more muscles in the gym by, albeit, smoke weed and go to the gym. Me personally, smoking weed made me very lazy. Like you got to be honest with yourself. You got to look at yourself from an outside perspective. Are you coping? Are you justifying, because you like to smoke weed? Are you making excuses because you like the way this makes you feel? Or is it based on tangible proof? Can you tangibly look at a time when you wasn't smoking? And I'm not talking about the small percentage of time that you're on a, like, what is it? When you don't do something for a long period of time and you start to have withdrawals. I'm not talking about when you have withdrawals. You got to get far beyond the withdrawal state. So when you're doing weed and you get probably about 2 weeks where you have withdrawals, and then after that, maybe you go 2 months and you question yourself, am I more productive from not smoking weed than to smoking weed? Does it give me more mind space to focus on other things now that I'm not smoking weed? You need to ask these questions and don't just live as a person who just takes information through other people's words and through surface level. Oh yeah, the society says smoke weed. Everybody's smoking weed. I get more bitches and I fuck more hoes when I smoke weed because I get to bond with them better. Maybe they don't need to be in your life. If that's what it takes for you to bond with them, if it doesn't take characteristics and being at a level where you guys can understand and you can bond about things and you need a controlled substance to make you bond with them, you most likely shouldn't be doing that controlled substance. But yeah, you need to ask yourself, not through the withdrawal state. About a month in, you're going to have withdrawals about fapping, right? It's probably about 60 days you could do semen retention. Try to do semen retention for 60 days and then ask yourself, am I more productive? Is my life getting better? Ask yourself these questions. Am I thinking better? Am I thinking more clearly? Do I have mental fog? And if the answer is yes or no, you know how to move. Be honest with yourself and stop justifying. Stop escaping from the life that you don't want to live, that you want to live, that you don't want to live, right? Deal with the problem. And the best way to deal with the problem is having more mental spaces to manifest where you want to see yourself. Not by escaping. You're going to make it worse. So what I'm telling you is semen retention forces you to stop with escapism. Escapism, oh yeah, I'm stressed. Let me relapse. If you're in a real life situation, if you're around a lion and you're getting stressed and you got to think about the best case scenario, you can't just sit up here and just relapse. You're going to die. You need to think about the best case scenario. You can't escape. Like, stop escaping from the reality that you don't want to live and focus on how to get better on it. And focus on what is going to take and what practices are you going to do and what is it going to look like for you to, in order for you to respect yourself in the current situation that you're in. So this is the point of semen retention. I had a big problem, a big avoidant issue with dealing with problems. I would relapse. I would try to go sleep with a woman. If I'm stressed, let me go sleep with a woman. Let me relapse. Let me watch this porn over here. This is the point of semen retention, for you to really deal with your issues instead of avoiding. So a lot of people don't understand what it takes, what semen retention is for. And if you're going to be closed-minded to this video, I'm glad you didn't make it this far, because you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You don't want to change. You don't want things to start rolling. You don't want to get the ball rolling. So that's fine. Listen, I'm not here to put people on who don't want to be put on. But for those who listen, bro, this information is golden. And I appreciate you guys watching the full context of the video, not taking things out of context, watching a little 5-second or listen to the first 5 minutes of me talking and giving an opinion, because that's not the full context. So until the next video, man, peace out.